Former Republican Governor Scott Walker joins us live here on the Hill. Governor Walker, nice to see you as always. Nice to talk to you, sir. Thanks for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
You got it. So Chris Stirewalt just outlined the 7 key counties that he's going to be watching on election night. One of them is the Milwaukee suburbs, Ozaukee County. Donald Trump was giving his sort of the start of the closing argument last night in Madison Square Garden. He said this at one point. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
When I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within, but this is who we're fighting.
Does that play in the Milwaukee suburbs, Governor? Should that be Donald Trump's closing message, or at least part of it?
Well, I think what he's talking about is the establishment, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, the folks in Washington who for years, including some in both political parties, go there and forget about everyday working families in Wisconsin, across the country. And so, you know, I've said repeatedly, you don't have to like everything he says or even every way he says it. But I think there's a lot of Americans, including many here in my home state of Wisconsin, who feel like too many politicians go to Washington and forget about them. They want someone who's going to be tough, who's going to stir things up in Washington, and is going to help them go back to where things were 4 years ago when life was without a doubt better. Prices were lower, the border was more secure, and public safety was less of an issue.
Yeah, and he's there on the issues. He leads on the economy. He leads on immigration. But last night you see him in Madison Square Garden, and the event that ended up becoming, was that event a failure last night?
Well, I wouldn't put all those other people out there. I'm going to be with him on Friday at the Fiserv Forum, where he was in Milwaukee for the convention earlier this year, with J.D. Vance just down the way and Racine with us here tonight. He's going to be back in Green Bay with Brett Favre. I think he needs to close with just him and J.D. Vance, just talking about the issues, just talking about what people know are the facts, and that is prices were lower on gas, on housing, on food. Our border was more secure. We didn't have the kind of problems we have with fentanyl overdoses and other things like that. And public safety was less of a major concern, particularly in our big cities here in Wisconsin, across the country. He keeps focused on those issues. He's going to win here, and he's going to carry the nation.
All right, let me ask you about one of the issues, taxes. Trump was on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast on Friday. It dropped late Friday night into Saturday. Here's one thing that Trump said, and I'll get your reaction.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure, but why not?
I'm looking, Governor. 2018 Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Scott Walker joins chorus of Republicans arguing against Trump tariffs on steel and aluminum. He's saying he's floating the idea of getting rid of taxes and just tariffs to the moon. Do you take him at his word there, Governor?
Well, I think this is one of those, if you read the art of the deal, this is a guy who pushes really hard and gets people somewhere close to his position. This is a message to China and others who've been eating our lunch for years, as he would say, when it comes to trade. He pushed hard against them. I think this is a signal when it comes to, he'd love to have a level playing field where American workers can compete with anybody, but we don't have that right now. And in terms of taxes, I hope he'll continue to provide the tax cuts where over 80% of the bill he signed into law go to working families like people right here in my community and all across Wisconsin.
You're former Republican governor, former Republican presidential candidate. You know your party better than I ever will. Yeah. I wonder if you think, though, Governor, that Republicans are going to take him seriously on that issue of taxes and the economy when he floats stuff like this.
I think in the end, though, this is just a good example of you want somebody who's going to be aggressive, who's going to push back. He certainly showed it on trade. Heck, I remember I talked to him when I was governor at the G7 when he said up in Canada to all the rest, he said, I'll get rid of all of our tariffs. You just got to do the same. He ultimately wants a free and level playing field. So I think he is a free trader, but he understands that it hasn't been free and it certainly hasn't been fair up until now. Overall, though, again, remember, life was better when it comes to the economy, with prices being lower, with the economy overall being better than it was. Even at Young America's Foundation, when we did a poll of college students, number one issue for them wasn't what you'd think. It was actually the economy. And I keep saying if he focuses on that, particularly on dealing with high prices, he's going to win, not just here in Wisconsin, but he's going to win the other battleground states and maybe even carry a bunch of candidates with him.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.